and his history came, like, it was just there. And it was just like big gay gang rape orgy. And I was like, oh, shit.
We love the boys in the UFC.
It's better being gay.
Uncut Latinos in BBDs.
It's better being gay.
Knights in wheel in a sailor suit.
It's better being gay.
First bend over, then salute.
It's better being gay.
Your clothes are better, you remember birthdays. You know the wine to drink with fish.
Welcome back to the Bresh Crew podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Grant. Along with me, as always, Mark Gwynn. It has been a while since this returning guest has been here, but he's back in the flesh. He's been directing like a motherfucker. And fan favorite for sure.
Yeah,
and
like by far. It's not close.
It's not close at all. And we're lucky to have him. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm well as can be expected. How are you guys doing?
Oh, better now.
About the same. Before we get into the good stuff, have you heard about like what's going on up here?
I'm so happy. So I hope our politics align because I'm so happy.
I'm good either way. I literally don't give a shit.
I don't know much about it, so you know.
Well, I just think, well, first of all, you know, I still pay attention to, you know, I'm still Canadian, right? So I still pay attention to what happens in Canada. And you know, I was just up there in October and things seem to be sort of getting back to normal, but then I understand that, you know, things locked down again and Quebec is like, may as well be, you know, Alcatraz.
100%. Yeah.
So, you know, and I just think it's amazing because, you know, Canadians are very polite and they'll hang in there for 2 years, I guess, when you tell them exactly what they can and can't do. But at some point they're like, you know what? Fuck you, we're going to Ottawa.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. I just love how the CBC is trying to spin it, and they're anybody that's doing anything controversial, all the cameras go to that person. Never mind the other people that are just out there, you know, trying to have a good time and express themselves, you know.
Right.
But it's fucking every country in the world is starting to figure it out that this shit has to end. I mean, it's ridiculous. And
100%.
You know, the UK, Denmark, Ireland. I mean, even in California. I mean, I went to see a band. It's so funny. I went to see a band on Friday night out here in the Valley, and you know, you walk into like the lobby and you're wearing your mask. And then, you know, you go to pay the cover. The guy who's taking the money for the cover is not wearing a mask. So then everybody's like, oh, and then they take off their mask. But technically, you're still supposed to be wearing your mask when you're not eating and drinking. It's a fucking bar. Yeah. Everybody's drinking the whole time. Yeah. So aside from the pageantry of putting this fucking thing over my face for 5 seconds, once I got inside, life was normal again, you know?
The key with that is with your beer, you order chips. And you always have one hand in the chips or fries. Can't say shit.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck anymore. I mean, you know, and California was pretty bad for a while, but like truly nobody cares. Like it's just people are just moving on, you know, and it's just one of those things, you know. And so I'm not, you know, I'm not down with the whole, you know, anti-vaxxer thing. I think that's a little extreme, but at the same time, it seems a little silly that you have to show a card to get into a restaurant, but even the people that are fucking vaccinated are just as likely to have COVID as you are. So what difference does it make?
That's kind of my thing. Like I understood it until it was like, you can still spread it and shit. Yeah. I was like, okay, so it should just be a personal decision then at that point. Like
right.
At that point.
Yeah. I was never on board, you know, with a mandate. But back, you know, 7 months ago, when it seemed like the vaccine was the way out, anybody that wasn't getting vaccinated, I was like, it's kind of stupid that you're not getting vaccinated because, you know, we could be done with this. But then, you know, every single person I know that's gotten vaccinated has gotten COVID now. And I know a lot of unvaccinated people that haven't gotten COVID. So, you know, go figure.
As a college dropout who doesn't know really anything, I think my theory is everyone's got to get it once before we can it'll kind of go away. Yeah. Like I just think no matter what, everyone's got to get it.
And you know, if you're a great big, you know, if you're morbidly obese or you have, you know, 9 underlying comorbidities, maybe you should wear your mask and stay inside. I don't know what to tell you, but if you're, you know, an otherwise healthy person, it's time to, you know, go back to life, I think, you know.
100%. And if this isn't a wake up call, I don't know. I don't really know what it is.
And, you know, and it's been a very like, you know, sort of like they painted like all the right-wing people are the ones that want to, they don't care about your grandmother dying. Well, your grandmother's going to die anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But now there's like even people on the left that are like, yeah, I did everything they asked me to do. I got fucking 3 experimental shots and I got the fucking booster shot too. Cause I'm like, I don't know. I'm 50. I could die any day. I may as well get the shot,
Yeah.
And, but I also don't care if I get fucking COVID anymore. I'm like, it is what it is, so.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad I got it early because it's like there's no fear anymore kind of thing.
Right.
You're good.
Yeah.
And I was lucky, I guess. Like, I guess it could be bad.
Look, it clearly can be bad,
Clearly.
but it also is unlikely that it's bad. I mean, I know tons of people, I'm sure you guys do too, that have had COVID, got over it just like you get over anything else. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
What's life been like on sets lately? I know last time you said because I've been on sets a lot lately, and I get tested more than most people because we're always there. How's the shift been for you guys? Are you going back to normal, or is it still kind of sketch?
For a while, if you were vaccinated, you could put your vaccine card into the database that all the performers test at. And then I didn't ask you to get tested. It was 48 hours, a PCR test to go to set. And then, but if you're vaccinated, don't worry about it. And then when everything started to go haywire in December again, which it didn't really, because not a lot of people got sick from this fucking Omicron thing. So then we went back to 48-hour PCR tests, and we're still kind of with that now, but it's not an official thing. And I just, I have a bunch of rapid tests because, like I said, most people have moved on, and they're, I'm like, did you test for COVID? Like, fuck, I forgot. I'm like, who cares? Anyway, just stick this up your nose for 15 minutes and go back to work,
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, but pretty much along the same line. So I got a couple questions about this actually. Yeah. So I was doing AGT Extreme in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was along the same lines, except we had to, 24 hours before we fly, we had to complete the PCR test and then test again when we got there.
Yeah.
And then do a rapid test when we're on site. Yeah. And then follow-up test after we finish filming in case, they could do something about us having already been done.
Yeah.
And then test again before we fly. So it was a little bit nuts. Is it going back to the thing about the masks? Because you're still in California, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was in Georgia, we would go to a bar, and more people would have masks on outside. So there's a bar right across from the hotel, right. And as we're going through the hotel lobby, we got our masks on, and we're thinking we just got out of Canada. Everybody's got masks on at all times.
Right.
We go over to the bar. As soon as we get in the door, before anybody's sitting down, everybody's just already taking their masks off. People are doing the chin diaper thing. Like it wasn't taken seriously at all. Nobody said anything about it anywhere we went. So it was, I don't know. Is it like that in California right now?
I mean, look, California, it depends on, Orange County is much more, is a much more conservative part of California. So just sort of naturally they're less inclined to follow these mandates, with masks and everything. So I was down in Orange. I got a new tattoo 4 months ago. I went down to Orange County to my tattoo guy, and it's like nothing ever happened down there,
Yeah.
Nobody's wearing masks, and
like Florida, I guess.
Well, Florida. I was just in Florida too, visiting my.
You went everywhere. You went coastal.
I guess. To be honest with you, and I was in Canada, which was different because Canada, it was like, having to log into that stupid fucking travel app and get my PCR test and get on the plane, and then I'm on the plane, and that's the best part about being on the plane is like keep your mask on. If it even slips for a second, somebody's right on you. 100%. But then they serve fucking everybody food at the exact same time, and everybody takes their mask off for half hour.
So it's all void at that point.
COVID took a nap during mealtime, so COVID's waking up. Put your mask back on. It was just the whole thing. But I was in Florida actually before there were vaccines, when it was still like Florida, even in October of 2020 was normal,
Yeah.
Like I couldn't.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit.
Look, and you know what? People are like, oh, those, it's like they want to blame politicians or whatever. You should take this more seriously. But ultimately, and especially now, it's like, if you're afraid of COVID, these are the things you can do. You can put your N95 mask on. You can get as many fucking injections as you want. And stay 6 feet away from every other human being for the rest of your life, but, I think most people just want to get back to normal, and some people got back to normal earlier than others. That's basically it.
100%. I want to talk about, well, first of all, have you seen a COVID kind of, porno yet? Like,
oh my God, I shot one.
You should. Okay, what was it like? What'd you do? What was your idea?
It wasn't my idea. I don't have any ideas for porn, dude. I just do what they tell me to do.
You just direct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
No, it was early on. It was right after we went back to work, and it was this fucking stupid. There was these scenes within the industry, sort of business model now that we refer to as ad scenes, right? And an ad scene is a scripted thing with a bunch of different visual points that you can kind of extract from the scene, and you'll put them on a GIF, like a 15-second GIF loop. And I'm sure you've seen them. They're all over Pornhub. Okay. They're all over all the tube sites.
Twitter,
right?
even.
Right.
Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah. So, and then you click on, because that's interesting. It's like, oh, there's a guy. He's coming through a window. He's fucking a pumpkin. There's his grandmother. It's just like there's all these little boom, boom, boom. And then they throw that up there. So this one was a mother and a stepdaughter, of course.
Of course.
She's been in lockdown too long and she misses her boyfriend. Mom, can my boyfriend please come over? Yes, he can, honey, but only if he wears a mask. Okay, fine. So the boyfriend comes over. He's wearing a mask. They're all wearing masks. And then she says, okay, Mom, we're going to go to my room and listen to some music or whatever. Okay, have fun. So then they go into the room and they're trying to make out with the masks, and she's trying to fucking suck a cock through a mask. And then he's like, I got an idea. And he rips a hole in her mask. So I'm like, and then of course the mom comes in and she's horrified that and at some point they take their masks off, and the mom comes in. She's wearing a mask, and she's horrified that they're not wearing a mask anymore. And she makes them put their masks back on. And then the three of them fuck, all wearing masks.
Oh my God. It's amazing. So when you're directing, I want to know your style. Is it kind of?
There's no style. I follow what they tell me to do. the amount of creativity or artistry involved in what I do at this point is, it's about the same as paving a road. That's about how interesting it is.
But you're still calling it out, right? Like
you're
saying
of course.
Mask off now, or like rip the hole. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. No, I have to, but that's, there was a time when I used to work for another company called Wicked Pictures, and they were, they just kind of let me do whatever I want. So I would actually write movies, some of which, because they had a little bit of a higher production level than some of the other companies. So some of their stuff got bought. They edited into an R-rated version. They sell it to Showtime and other places like that, which was cool. And because they were selling it to Showtime and broadcast, entities like that, they didn't want any of this, like my stepbrother fucking, the lawnmower ran over his foot and whatever. So it was cool, but they got bought by a corporate porn behemoth, and I don't shoot for them anymore. But it was fun while it lasted. I actually felt a little bit like a real director for a while.
So you missed that, I'm guessing. It's just hard to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I miss it only because it was a nice, reprieve from the stuff that I normally have to do. But I'm also really lazy, so I'm okay with not doing it, Yeah. But if somebody said, "Hey, man, get creative. You have to write a movie, and we need it shot next month," I'd figure it out and I do it,
I actually, before we move on to Mark's question, I actually ended up seeing. I remember we talked about Evil Head last time, and I actually watched it in its entirety.
Yeah.
The part with I think the part I'm talking about already, but. It's a great looking girl, but she's got the like tentacle branches thing. That was what the hell? Who the hell was that? That was, God damn it! It's on the tip of my tongue. Obviously, she's very tattooed. I can't think of it right now. But it's for those listening, it's pretty out there scene to kind of go off Evil Dead. But
Cleo Valentine.
Do you want to explain what happens in that scene?
Well, no, I mean, we just ripped off all the stuff from Evil Dead, right?
Yeah.
She's walking through the woods at night, and all of a sudden the fucking tree comes alive and the branches crawl up her leg and they pull her down, and then she gets fucked by a tree. I don't know. What can I say?
It's 100% what happens.
Yeah.
What was that made out of? Rubber? Was it made out of rubber? I'm guessing.
I think the actual
because it went in.
That we did were real, like the vine things that went up her leg.
Okay.
But we just did it the other way. Like we just reversed the shot so that it looks like they're climbing up instead of being pulled down. Fair. And then, then it was just some rubber stuff that the props guys brought, technically the director of that movie was a guy that had something to do with Trauma Pictures, or he directed some stuff for them, Trauma Films. Toxic Avenger, that whole thing. But he was, and I say this with respect as an alcoholic, but he was drunk most of the time. So a lot of the directing fell onto me. Who was not drunk at the time.
Fair enough. It came out good. It was really original. So I like that aspect a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so there's kind of a stigma with porn and the acting. I mean, anybody that's watching porn for the acting is a little out there, but there's a bit of a stigma with porn and bad acting and such, right? Who's the best actor that you've ever worked with?
That's a good question.
Well, it's funny you say that because we just had the 30-something annual AVN Awards last week. And my very good friend Tommy Pistol, who's in Evil Head, who plays what's his name with the chainsaw on his arm.
Oh yeah. Oh, that guy. Yeah.
He is hands down the best. I mean, he's an actual, probably, unfortunately, he's never going to be taken seriously because he's done so much porn, but he is a SAG actor. He's a phenomenal talent. I mean, he can do, we just shot a movie. It was for porn, it was a big deal because we spent, $100,000 on it, which you don't normally spend on it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the real life story of this trans girl, Casey Kisses, because she used to be part of a biker gang. And then she came from a bad family, and then she started to do the transition process, and the gang sort of kicked her out. And then she was about to get murdered by her own father, and the gang came and it's all a true story that happened. So Tommy played the recently released from prison, dad who has to cope with the fact that his son is now a daughter and all this other stuff. And it was, with no exaggeration, he's as good as any mainstream actor I've seen. Like just take that segment out of the movie, ignore anything else. Take that segment out of the movie. He wakes up, he's drunk, he's looking for his car keys. He can't find them. He has to pick up a baseball bat. He's destroying the room. We got all this prop furniture he could destroy. And it was just like intense, and there's a couple of guys in porn that are fantastic actors that can really that could have done it for real, but here they are, but they're also, there are certain companies that put much more emphasis on the story and the production values and that sort of thing. And in those instances, you might be actually surprised how good the acting is. But for my stepbrother, fuck the babysitter, you're probably not going to see the thespian level of a young Brando. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So what's that movie called? The one you just did, the $100,000 budget?
It's called Casey, A True Story, and you can find it at adulttime.com.
There you go. Nice
which
plug.
is basically the Netflix of porn.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Damn. Why? Yeah. So why does Pornhub get all the credit? Or not credit, but why does it get all the traffic? Just because it's quick?
Because it's free, Yeah. And but Pornhub's had to clean up their act a lot. Even though they were basically started completely as a piracy site, there was nothing on Pornhub that was ever
original
uploaded.
Yeah.
And all those tube sites originally hid behind the whole, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, because then the onus was on the person whose copyright was infringed upon to let them know, that's my scene, please take it down. That's my content, please take it down. And they would, and somebody else would upload it an hour later. So it was a pointless endeavor, right? So now they're kind of trying to be a responsible corporate citizen. And, they had a whole big issue with MasterCard and Visa potentially cutting them off. So they pulled every video that they put on there now has to be verified by the uploader. The uploader has to be verified. So overnight, Pornhub pulled like 15 million videos.
Damn.
There's still over 1 million videos on Pornhub. You're never going to run out of free porn. But,
right.
It was a huge, it was a way bigger deal than Neil Young pulling his music off Spotify.
100%. My dad was telling me today, he's like, they lost $2 billion this week because of the Neil Young thing. They should have
didn't lose $2 billion. Well, first of all, they didn't lose $2 billion. They also didn't lose what the money they did lose wasn't because I don't know if you noticed, but the stock market the last couple of weeks has been not good. Period.
It's been crashing for sure.
Yeah, 2 million stocks does not mean the same thing as that losing 2 million or 2 billion actual fucking dollars.
Right. So.
What's a good kind of concept or idea that it doesn't have to be yours, but like you read on paper before you guys shot and you're like, this is gonna be great, and it just didn't work when you were trying to shoot it?
Well, the great thing about porn is it doesn't matter if it works or not, as long as there's people fucking, right? So you could have the most failed movie ever. Like, oh man, it was going to be so good. And we had this and nothing worked, but still that guy fucked that girl and he jizzed on her. And that's why you bought the movie, right? So there's very little pressure in making, porn that people would watch the storyline, and a lot of us that shoot that kind of stuff, I never had aspirations of being a real filmmaker at all. But it is fun to sort of step away a little bit from the silly, guy comes to the door and it's all one shot and it's all an ad lib and then they bone on a sofa and then the mom catches them at the end or something. Right. So, it's fun to make stuff that's a little higher end, but as far as whether it works or not, it's hard to tell. You can tell when it works like really well. Like the movie I was just telling you about, the Casey, a true story movie, because we went, the other thing is you don't go into porn with terribly high expectations to begin with. Right. So you have to, because some people can act, some people can't act at all. Some people can't read. So, there's a very large, space between the top and the bottom sometimes. So, so if it comes out great, that's great. If it doesn't, well, we make another one anyway. So what difference does it make,
So it's really move on to the next one right away.
It's always move on to the next one.
Yeah.
It's always move on to the next one.
Okay, obviously, I don't want you to give out any specific financial details. That's nobody's business. But when you're doling out a budget for a production and you have a specific set of actors or a specific story, is the amount that they're paid based on what they're doing in the film? Like, if they're like, do you get like bonuses for anal or some shit like that?
I mean, obviously, there's a rate schedule, but I mean, there's sort of standard. I don't know if you want to call them standard, but basically it's a standard rate of $1,000 to do regular boy-girl sex scene, right? And that's just if you're kind of run-of-the-mill porn girl. If you're, one of these super popular, girls that are making $1 million. I mean, there's literally girls that are making well over $1 million every year on OnlyFans,
Yeah.
And for them, mainstream porn is just advertising, they don't give a fuck, so, but their rate is much higher because they don't need the money, right? So that's really what it comes down to. And guys always get paid less, which I don't think is fair, but oh well. You know what I mean? It's like, you could be, stocking shelves at Walmart. You just fucking boned that hot broad and you made half what she made, but that's still pretty good,
Still pretty good. Yeah. I think it's because we might be getting into psychology at this point, but I think it's because women can like guys for other reasons than just being hot.
That's thank God for that, right?
And thank God.
Very, very lonely if that weren't true.
100%. But I think maybe that's got to play into it, right? That
I would think
they don't just want to stare. They don't have to just stare at a dick all day.
No,
like that's what does it.
But even from the beginning, I mean, the thing that made porn, lucrative to begin with is the fact that men have a much different sex drive or sexual perception, if you will, than women, right? Pornography doesn't appeal to women as much as it appeals to men. And if it does appeal to women, it doesn't appeal to them in the same way that it appeals to men,
Yeah.
They always say that women prefer the story. That's not 100% true at all, because the story usually is ridiculous. So that's basically like saying, well, women are stupid. They watch porn for the acting. Well,
right.
No, they don't, maybe they like a little more context to what's happening though, for sure. Whereas a guy is just going to scroll to his, I like that part. You know what I mean? They're not fucking about why it's happening. They're just looking at it.
I don't give a shit. What are your thoughts on like 50 Shades of Grey? Because that's a stupid, or not stupid, maybe stupid, but like a super mainstream movie where like you heard the masses of women were just like, this is erotic for us. Like this is great. Even Christian girls who never really watched porn. Like what's your kind of idea on that?
Well, it was safely erotic, because it was a Hollywood. I mean, the book was just, I mean, I didn't finish reading the book. I read part of it just because everybody's telling me it's so badly written, right?
Yeah.
And it's not very well written. And the story's kind of, trite the way it's sort of portrayed. But it's, it's like a Danielle Steele novel. It's like a romance novel, basically with some kink in it. And woo, you'll never believe what I picked up at I was at the Shoppers Drug Mart there, and I got, you know what I mean? Like, and then they make it into a movie, and then the guy they had play the main guy is like super hot, and it's like, yeah, women are going to go out, and that's going to be a thing that women want to do, which, you know, it's fine. It's not any different than, I'm so happy. Let's have a drink. They renewed Baywatch. You know what I mean? Like, it's guys are going to watch it because,
right.
You know?
But it's not like that would like infuriate me as a director to be like, I've made 10 times better shit than this, and this is what's getting played, like this half-ass kinky shit. Like, I'd be pissed. Well, like, why is I'm better than this? Like, why is this getting the fucking praise?
You could say the same thing about how every movie that comes out now is a sequel to something, and there has to be a fucking superhero in it, you know?
Well, that's just to sell tickets. Yeah.
You know, but it's the same thing. It's like, you know, they made 50 Shades of Grey. They made 50 more shades. And now, I don't know, maybe the color palette's changed. Maybe it's yellow. I don't know. But
they did an all black one. They did.
Yeah, I know. I did. You know, but I don't know. I think that it didn't. I mean, every porn company did some sort of rip off of it, you know, including me. So,
what was yours called?
Well, we had a tie-in with a bondage product, a very housewife-friendly bondage product called the Scarlet line by this company, Adam and Eve, which they don't make anymore. It was actually garbage stuff. I mean, like handcuffs that literally you could just be like, cuff me. Yeah, I broke them. Cuff me again. You know, it was just dumb stuff. Yeah. So we sort of did a tie-in with their product to make this. So it was called Shades of Scarlet. We made two versions of that. That was actually those movies were actually pretty good. Those were like movies where I wrote a script and I actually tried to make people act well, you know. Yeah. And again, they got sold to other, you know, non-porn outlets. So that was good, you know.
So the supplier of that toy kind of sponsored it and paid for some of the budget, I'm guessing?
I'm not sure if that's how it worked, but yeah, there was some symbiotic relationship between the company I shot it for and that company. So that's
interesting. I didn't even think of that. That's got to be a good avenue for people.
Yeah, no, it was, you know, like I said, I don't know. I mean, the stuff was pretty cheesy, you know, product wise, but you know, whatever.
I feel like going back to the 50 Shades thing, and I might be saying the same thing you already said, but 50 Shades specifically, it was like the combination of the naughtiness and the misbehaving and still looking sophisticated. Like a chick could read that on her lunch break at work and nobody would look at her funny. And could tell everybody. And then, you know, you can go to the movie theater and watch that movie and nobody's looking at you like you're Pee Wee Herman.
Right. You know what I mean? Like exactly. Right.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's misbehaving, but behaving at the same time.
Like I said, it's very safely dangerous, you know?
Yeah.
I remember in high school, we were watching this movie. It's not a porno, but it's called Sex Drive. It's like it's a weird low budget comedy movie. And there's one sex scene in it. And we were watching it at like the lunch table and the janitors like were behind us, like there were females and they were like, what the fuck are these people? And they went and like got the principal and shit. But like, that's a good thing. Like if you're reading 50 Shades of Grey, no one's going to say anything in public. Yeah. But here I am watching the one sex scene in a movie and I get scrutinized and say it's inappropriate.
Yeah, or if you're, you know, crazy sitting there with your laptop open watching Interracial Cougar Cuckold Volume 17, you'll get a different look than if you're reading 50 Shades of Grey, for sure.
That also happened to me with a boss. I worked for a farmer who's may or may not be in the closet still at age 55, which is sad. But I remember he asked me to hold his phone for a light because he was trying to fix something in like the barn, and my finger hit the screen. And his history came, like it was just there. And it was just like big gay gang rape orgy. And I was like, oh, shit. And I showed my friend who was also working there. I'm like, look, because no one's going to believe me. No one's going to believe me if I don't have a witness. And it was, my God,
that's funny.
It was unreal. And that's how I knew, because we always questioned it. We're like, what does he into? I don't know. And then that solidified it for me.
Confirmed.
Yeah,
he might like my band. You should send him the video.
He might. Big fan of ABBA. Yeah.
Right. So exactly.
Does your opinion change at all with 50 Shades of Grey is one thing, but then there's other scenes there's other movies where the scene is basically just porn, like what is it, Monsters Ball, where Halle Berry's getting railed like an animal. Like, does your opinion change at all with any of those movies, or does it fall along the same lines as 50 Shades of Grey?
I mean, Monsters Ball, I thought was cool because, Halle Berry's, she can't help but be beautiful regardless, but she was sort of in that movie, sort of down, like in Swordfish. It's the first time you got to see Halle Berry's tits, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And she was kind of different type of movie, a sexier movie. She played a sexier character. So that really graphic sort of sex stuff in Monsters Ball seemed appropriate for the story. Like it didn't seem like a gratuitous thing. And oftentimes it does seem, when they throw sex scenes or simulated sex scenes into a movie, it seems like it's gratuitous, but I don't know. That didn't.
Yeah, no, it seems forced. It is.
You guys just gave me a great idea. There's this YouTube series that's like, I don't know if it's by E! News, it's someone big, and they get like rock climbers, like real rock climbers, to watch like rock climbing movies and like pick out we should do that with Mike, like sex scene in the movies. And just be like, is this good? Is this not? Is it believable? That kind of shit.
His groin is up by her. No.
I think a different day that might be a good little bit to do. But if you're in now, I was watching this thing that my girlfriend showed me the other day. It's like this new 90 Day Fiance, and there's a midget in it. Have you done any midget stuff, and how does it work, and what kind of precautions go into that?
Precautions. Well, they don't have sex on tall beds. I'm kidding. No, there's a very famous girl in the business about, 20, 25 years ago that went by the name Bridget the Midget.
I've heard of Bridget the
Midget. There was a guy, his name was Napoleon, and he was a little person with a 12-foot penis. It was odd. But I was never privileged enough to lend such a production. Okay.
Yeah. But it's few and far between, I guess, right?
Yeah, there's not a whole, but what's getting strangely popular, and I don't know why, but I'll take the money because they keep offering it to me, but granny porn.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Older than you? You're filming girls older than you?
Oh my God.
Like way older?
I'm feeling women older than people that are dead for 100 years. I mean, these are, and there's a whole community of, I'm going to say 62 to 72 that are all down in Florida, and they're all living this swinger lifestyle. And they just discovered that they're all starting OnlyFans, and they're getting popular, and then popular enough that somebody started a whole site dedicated to it. And of course it was like, hey, how do you feel about shooting granny porn? I'm like, does it pay money? Because if it does, I'll do it. I don't care at this point. I have no integrity.
My God.
And which isn't to say that they don't, that they're not lovely people, and that they don't look good for their age. But, like there was this one woman I shot not too long ago, a sweet lady. But I felt like she should be giving me a birthday card with a $5 bill in it, not taking her fucking bra off. And, I don't, it's odd to see a woman that you think should be baking a pie.
100%.
Screaming out, fuck me harder, stuff like that. That's odd.
What's the site called? Prune Hub?
No, you can look it up. Gilft.com.
Gilft?
Gilft.
Okay, Gilft. Damn, son.
And that's not the only site. That's just the one that I shoot stuff for.
So you, now as a director, you got to be careful with you definitely got to be careful. Like, you don't know how flexible are these people.
But it's hard to say. I only do like I said, when I was talking earlier about the ad scenes to advertise, I only do those. I don't, there's a lot of like sort of amateur stuff that gets submitted. That's just like some fucking horny old hippie couple in a down in Daytona Beach or something. And there's like, so, but then there's the scenes the production value scenes that have all those ad moments. And I do those ones, which sometimes can be fun. I just did one that was this woman, actually strangely still like put together, like really shocking. And because I hadn't met her before, but it was basically she's giving a guy a foot job while playing bingo, which I thought was interesting. So
no way.
And then as it turns out, she was cheating at bingo. So,
oh wow. Yeah. This reminds me of you had the last time you were with us, you had a particular rant about step porn, and it was probably it's in all our all-time greatest moments. Has anything changed with that? Has the amount of step porn settled down at all?
There's less of it. But
Okay,
there's
that's
now
good.
more disturbing porn going the other direction, right? Because here's what happens, right? So people are like, people are getting burned out on step porn.
Finally.
What can we do? Foster porn. People are shooting cousins now. They're shooting foster. They're shooting like student exchange thing. Like it's anything you can do to make it fucked up. It's like, you can't just be like, hey, you're a hot, attractive lady and I got a big cock. You want to, like it can't just be that. They have
It's
to
got to
wrap
be
it.
socially taboo,
Yeah.
right?
Which it doesn't, but whatever.
But in their eye, in the pop, I don't know why I don't know why that keeps getting pushed, but
I mean, and I shouldn't, I don't know why it gets pushed either. I think it's just a question of you're out of ideas and let's see if this works. You know what I mean?
Fair.
But then you run the risk, just like with step porn, you run the risk that that's what everybody does because one person does it. You're like, oh, it must be working if they're doing it. Oh, now they're doing it. So now that's all there is.
No
and
creativity.
so maybe that's, maybe there's going to be cousin fucking for the next 10 years. I have no idea.
That's crazy.
I guess because they're actors, they're not related. I would fucking hope that they're just playing a part. It's kind of porn's own version of being safely dangerous in the same way.
It literally is just a fucking marketing angle because they're they're just out of ideas. That's why the ads get more and more ridiculous because it's almost like they kind of did it to themselves in a way because giving away porn for free for so long, there's a whole generation of people that they've never paid for porn ever and they don't plan on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the viewing audience is so huge. Pornhub is like number 4 or 5 in the world of porn sites. So that much traffic, even if a percentage of people click on a banner or an ad and it takes them somewhere where they actually pay money, that's still a lot of money, But because so many people are used to getting porn for free for so long, those ads now need to become more and more ridiculous to stand out from the other ads that are ridiculous,
It's fucking just trumping each other.
Yeah.
What's number one? Like, do you know? I would have assumed it was porn.
I think the number one site is Google, but after that, but Pornhub is, it's like 3 or 4 somewhere in there for sure.
I don't know how they're running out of ideas. I got plenty of ideas.
Yeah, but your ideas might not translate to clicks. That's the thing.
Are you kidding me? Jackass Forever is about to come out. Jackass
That's true.
porn parody right now. Steve-O.
They've
got
already
so
done
much
that
stuff.
too.
Have they?
They already did that. They did that in the first Jackass.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like crazy, dangerous stuff.
It was a
with
bunch
sex.
of it was a bunch of Jackass type stuff. It was like
Okay.
reality type, just like Jackass. I forget who did it, but I mean, you can look it up, you can find it. But it was just that.
Have you heard much about Dennis? I don't know if follow basketball at all, but do you know much about Dennis Rodman's sex life? Because it's pretty prolific.
Just what I heard.
He's broken his dick a few times trying to jump in.
He got to bang Carmen Electra. That's all I know.
He did.
Because I keep forgetting that I'm really old now. So I keep.
No,
thinking,
she was great in her day. Yeah.
Fucking Carmen Electra's probably my age. Holy shit,
Doesn't matter if you saw her in Last Dance. She's taking good care of herself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, Jennifer Lopez is too. I mean, that's
She's an anomaly. She's an anomaly.
Insanely ridiculous.
2 primes. We talked about this before. She has 2 different primes of her life.
Yeah.
It's unheard of. Who's the most famous actor or actress you've worked with in anything?
I don't know. Define fame as it pertains to porn. I don't know.
Popularity.
Notoriety, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, long time ago when I first started, pretty close to when I first started, I got to meet, and he hung out on set, and there used to be a device in porn. Some people might still use it. I don't know, called a sea light. And that is basically when the actors put themselves into a position where what you're supposed to be looking at is in the dark. There'd be a guy that just has a little tiny light on a stand. And goes, there you go. So we don't really do that anymore because cameras obviously have improved to the point where,
right. Yeah.
You can see it, whatever. But Scott Baio from Happy Days held my seat once.
That's funny.
That's the most famous person I've worked with that wasn't actually in porn. It was just a funny story. But I mean, who have I don't know who's famous. Name. I'll tell you who I work with. Who do you guys like? Who's your favorite porn girls?
I don't know names. That's the thing. I just browse, and if
everybody knows at least 1 or 2. That
you hear the names. Like I think this one just because it rhymes, but Alexis Texas because it rhymes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I work with Alexis Texas a lot.
Okay.
She only does OnlyFans now. She doesn't do.
Of course. Why would you do anything else?
Yeah.
What since we last talked to you, actually, the OnlyFans thing was getting shut down.
Yeah, they changed their mind.
And then they changed their mind. Was there girls freaking out that like you knew? Or just been like, what the fuck?
And look, part of me was happy about that, and part of me was not, obviously, because I have a lot of friends that, OnlyFans is a huge part of their income. So I obviously wouldn't want to see anything happen to them. At the same time, there was a lot of girls that when OnlyFans started to become a thing, they were like, fuck these porn producers. We don't need them anymore, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, you don't need us anymore. Then there'll be a new shipment coming in anytime. So don't worry about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, they might not be letting anything explicit happen on OnlyFans, which means nobody's going to renew their membership. And you'd be surprised how many DMs I got from people going, hey, just in town, didn't know if you were shooting or not. I'm like,
fuck you.
Yeah, there's a handful of people I'll never hire just for that reason alone,
That's fair. They turned their back on you.
Yeah, exactly.
We should talk about your band because you kind of segued into it and I cock-blocked you a little bit. So let's talk about your band.
It's a fun band. That's why I moved to California, was to be a famous rock star. Obviously, it didn't work out, and I became a quasi-famous fucking pornographer, which is weird. But so then I joined this band about 4 years ago. They're like a friend of a friend, actually a girl that I used to know in Toronto, who moved to LA, and we sort of reconnected over Facebook, and her boyfriend's a guitar player and he plays in this punk band. And do you still play drums? And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, oh, well, see if it, so I go to audition for this band or to meet them or whatever. And, cool guys are all, some are a little younger than me. Some of them are my age, whatever, but we're all basically into the same music. And I'm like, cool. And I'm like, so, let me hear some of your tracks, and then they kind of got quiet. I'm like,
oh, no.
Well, what's going on? Like, well, because, literally the band is called the Cox, first of all. And our singer, Jay, is very, very, very gay and proudly so. And so it's basically his band, and he writes all of these songs, and to a song, every single one of them is about some degree of homosexual promiscuity. So now you can go on YouTube and you can see our debut video, which we just put out last week. And it's the Cox. And the video is for a song called It's Better Being Gay. That's the name of the song. And it's a really funny video. And like I said earlier, the only downside to it is it's hard to pick up chicks playing in a gay punk band. It really is,
Did you direct that video? No,
not really. I mean, they used my camera. So you watch it. I mean, it's a very basic, it's an 80s type. We shot it all on a white site, and we just had different characters coming in and out,
Cool.
But we did it for next to no money, but it came out, it looks really good.
That's sick. The Cox.
And that's it, I was, and we've done some cool shows. We played at the Viper Room, we played at the Whiskey, and those were all the same clubs I played when I first moved here when I was a kid. So to be, 50 years old, and I'm like, I never thought I'd do this again. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Nice. And it's actually a lot more fun because back in the day, everything's so serious because you're like, oh, you got to get the record.
Got to make it. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to make it. This is it. And now nobody cares. Right. So,
it's funner. Yeah.
It's a lot more fun. And people are like, well, why would you join a gay punk band? I'm like, who cares? I'm having fun, and it really is. And we get a great turnout just because of the industry connections, obviously. And, so it's, and I also direct gay porn as well sometimes. So, and I get that sort of demographic. So it works well.
That's a good segue into one of our 4 fan questions here.
Is one of them from my cousin Richard? Tell him to text me.
No, I haven't talked to Richard in a bit, but I hope he's doing well with his invention still. I hope that's
yeah. I don't know. I saw him. Like I said, I saw him when I was up there in October. But
so you were right down the road and didn't say hi. That's sick.
I didn't even bother. I didn't even think about it. I'm a horrible person.
Fucking Mike. This one's from a guy named Opie. Why Why do women do porn when men work twice as hard? That's a perfect segue from you shooting gay porn.
Why do women do porn when men work twice as hard?
Yeah. So what I think what he's trying to say is you get twice the amount of work out of men. So why not just do men? That's what I'm gathering. I don't know this guy, but that's
I don't know if that's what he means, but if that's what he means, I shouldn't say this, but I will say that directing gay porn is difficult.
In what sense? Is it like
well, let me put it this way. Remember I said we have a video.
Does it bounce off their chests like a speedometer?
No. Remember I said we have a video called It's Better Being Gay. I've learned that maybe it's not. So that's just based on the complexity of gay men trying to have sex, and
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's tough because as a straight guy, it's like I'm not, but I was going to say I don't get aroused by it, but I also don't get aroused by shooting regular porn either because I'm, my mind is gone now. I've been doing this for 30 fucking years.
Right.
But I know what a good shot is, right? And it's just harder to get a good shot, that I found anyway, in that genre,
A lot of grunting, I'm guessing.
There's a lot of grunting, sure.
I've heard it. Like I've witnessed it. I've heard it. So it's like I get it.
There's a lot of grunting in regular porn.
A lot of grunting.
Listen, hey, anytime your anus is involved, there's going to be some grunting, whether it's straight porn or gay porn.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yes.
Valid. Yeah.
This one's from a guy named Javon. Have you ever been squirted on when filming a squirt scene? And how often do you see squirters?
Well, I hate to break his bubble, but most of the squirting you see in porn is fake.
Oh,
like all of it. So,
wait, how? What do they do?
Well, first of all,
they're
just peeing. They just drink about 8 gallons of Pedialyte before the scene, and they just pee on each other. All right, so
not know that.
And then other times you just literally. I mean, without trying to give the gag away, but sometimes you just fill the girl with water and say, now.
I get, yeah, okay.
So, yes, I actually had a camera lens destroyed by someone that was able to do that in a projectile fashion. That was a long time ago.
That's impressive.
Yeah, she went by the name Cytheria. So if this guy is big into like squirting porn, I guarantee he knows who she is. So.
Cytheria.
That was her claim to fame. Is she could literally, I'm pretty sure she could retaliate against North Korea if they ever launched this direction. She would be able to launch back.
Sounds like she should be called, she should change it to urethra. It's pretty
exactly.
much the same fucking thing. Yeah. A guy named Blaine says, how can I make music for the porn industry? What's the way in? And you're a musician, so this is a good question for you.
Most, first of all, it doesn't pay anything, so why bother? You don't get residuals like you would if you got your song in a commercial or a TV program or something. I used to buy music off a couple of different guys, but now a lot of these companies, the bigger companies, just use production music libraries, just like Hollywood does. So we just get the music from those. There's
like royalty-free ones that you pay.
It's not royalty-free, but it's like a one-time licensing fee, and then depending on what part of the world it goes to, it's less complicated sync rights than if you're doing it for Hollywood, but it's not completely royalty-free either.
But is there specific ones that porn people use, or do they just use any that any filmmaker would use?
No, they use the same ones anybody else would use.
Same one. Okay, cool.
There are certain music libraries that won't allow you. There was a great, I used to get a lot of music from this company called Audio Blocks. It was sort of like an all-you-can-eat sort of download as much as you want for something. And I got great music from that. And then they changed their terms of service that their music couldn't be used in anything promoting pornography or violence. Like those two things are somehow related,
Yeah.
Which is always funny when they're like, we don't pornography, violence, hate speech. Like these are all similar things, I don't get that at all, but that's sort of the puritanical viewpoint of it still. But writing music for porn, not a terribly lucrative thing anymore, unfortunately. Not that it ever was, but it definitely isn't now.
And the final question, have you ever had to kick someone off the shoot, and what did they do?
I don't think I've ever kicked somebody, like get out of here, but I've certainly sent some people home for clearly being under the influence.
Okay. So there it is. The influence.
Because you don't want, some girls, some guys too, but I'm just going to say I've seen it more with some girls. I call it the Xanax nod. They're in the makeup chair getting their makeup done, and they're just like, and then the makeup artist will come and tell me, this one, I'm like, hey, I'll go make small talk and sort of get a feel for, and then I'm like, then I'll call the agent and be like, I think your girl might be a little not in her right mind, so I can't shoot somebody that can't consent.
Of course, yeah.
So I got to send her home. So, but no, I haven't had to kick anybody out.
That is it.
Yes.
That's fair. I honestly think we should do that idea about where you pick apart sex scenes sometime. We'll kind of get it ready. And even if we even come out there, it'd be even better if we can actually film it with you and bring my equipment. But if not, we can do it here. But yeah, we'll see. We'll try to make a date of it in the next 6 months if it's possible, and try to figure it out if we're allowed to leave this fucking place.
Yeah, you never know. We'll see how long the truckers block off Ottawa.
Yeah, I think I think that some of them are headed home. They got to work tomorrow. I think they gave up after 2 days.
I don't know. There's a couple. Did you see how much money they've raised? Like fucking $8 million or something at this point.
Yeah.
Just to
shit.
I don't know who has to organize that money. Like, it's just some trucker wife.
Yeah. I have no idea. I donated $100 just cause.
Yeah. My gym raised a bunch of money for it. My gym's my gym's been opened the entire time. 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They do it for some like Bill of Rights way. So they're like, there's like, we have our rights kind of thing. And the cops know, they just don't do anything. So it's
well,
crazy.
I mean,
it's because it's a small town. If it was a city, it'd probably be different.
But I don't know. I mean, I just think I've always thought that was funny that, McDonald's is still open, but the gym is closed. What's healthier for you?
Ironic.
Yeah. Mark, do you have any more questions? I think I'm good for today.
No, I think I'm good. I did have what I thought was a follow-up question, but you basically already answered it. So, let's do Dylan's brilliant idea. Let's have you back on again. You're by far the fan favorite, and we miss you when you're away. So.
All right.
Yeah, we will. We had someone comment on our last YouTube video of you, I think. Someone just commented, I don't know the name, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Genuinely hilarious.
No, not that, but there's another comment that says the Indianapolis 500 was one of the greatest films of all time. If that's what it's called.
It was the Houston 500.
Houston 5, that's what it was.
Yeah. And if that person that thought it was one of the greatest films of all time, I would suggest that person might also be a registered sex offender. So it's not, I don't put it up there with, Citizen Kane by any stretch of the imagination.
That's perfect. Thanks, Mike. Anything you want to plug? Twitter?
Nah, just that. Go check out, Go to Adult Time because, it's a lot of stuff I shot is there. And go look up the Cox. It's Better Being Gay video on YouTube.
Can we play? We're going to play the song, a clip of the song in the outro right now.
There you go.
That's it. This episode was brought to you by bossauto.ca in Oshawa. Go get your new
Oshawa, my place of birth.
Is it actually? I love these guys. Boss Auto. Shout out to Boss Auto. You can't really get a new car right now, so you may as well go there and get a nice, slightly used one. He'll give you a good deal, and he'll give you oil changes. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Peace. And you know who?